Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me into part 2 of the Lost Ark character progression / character power guide. My name is Wilkie, and today's topic is going to be about combat stats. We're gonna go from top to bottom except for specialty. We're gonna put this one to the last because specialty is a bit, well, special, pun intended, but you'll see later what I mean. And we're also gonna cover accessories and how they play into that. So similar to the first video, pressing on info will show up this tab here. Critical is pretty self-explanatory. Crit chance is increased by a certain number depending on your points, and this one reflects your total number of crit. As a Devil Hunter, I do have an engraving that grants me 27% crit upon switching, so we're just going to switch the weapon. Et voila, you can see this crit chance bumped up, and after the 6 seconds it'll go down again. We're just going to switch again. You can pretty much see how this works. Specialty, like I said, is up for the last. Immobilize targets, or subdue, is the stat of choice. Immobilized targets receive additional damage, and impaired targets receive additional damage. I am not sure if there is a PvE situation or a class that uses this stat in PvE. However, for PvP, this is one, if not the stat of choice, due to the fact that combat stats apply to the arena as well. And most of the time, you're going to be dealing damage or using your hard-hitting abilities when the enemy is inside a combo or CC'd anyway. So just to keep your eyes peeled, like I said, I'm not sure if anybody uses the stat in PvE. I don't think so, but maybe there are some applications for PvP though. This is definitely a very valuable pick. Agility, attack speed increases, movement speed increases, and cooldown reduction. So attack speed and movement speed can also be altered by engravings or other things. Cooldown reduction is, I think, the only source besides some tripods and runes. So another very good stat. Some classes use it extensively. I generally like the stat, however the current meta, due to the items we have, does not seem to favor agility on Devil Hunters in PvE. Endurance increases defense, and I think this is really all there is to it. It makes you more beefy, more tanky. And proficiency, honestly, I don't know if anybody ever used the stat or why it's in the game, but I think nobody really ever wants proficiency. It basically means buffs last longer, debuffs that you do on your enemies last longer, and debuffs that you get are shorter. That's basically the gist of it. Like I said, I don't think anybody runs the stat, maybe some warlords or something, but I think they're probably gonna run endurance instead. But hey, that's just how these stats work. So, specialty. Why this is special is because this is sort of the skill or class defining stat. Because for my Devil Hunter here, increases critical damage when firing pistols. So when using pistols, my crit damage is increased by 156. That's quite a big number. If you look at my crit damage right now, which is 250%, that's pretty good. I'm not sure if there is actually pistol crit. Actually, there is. Handgun critical damage. So this is actually listed down here below. Shotgun damage is increased by 52% flat. Every shotgun skill I do does 50.2% more damage, whether it's crit or not. So this is why you see a lot of Devil Hunters run specialty in the current meta, because of the stat that increases specialty even further. That's a pretty hefty damage boost, and most of the damage you deal as a Devil Hunter comes from shotguns. Also increases armor penetration and ignore resistance when firing the carbine, which is the sniper, and increases damage of awakening skills. So this is what specialty just for reference, or why I said the stat is special or build defining. Let's jump over to my Lancemaster for a second. So taking a look at my Lancemaster, specialty does a very different thing. Increases luminous energy storage by 21%. This is this bar here at the bottom. Enhances moon stance, enhances solar stance, and increases damage of awakening skills. So as opposed to a raw damage boost, for example, that my Devil Hunter got granted on shotgun skills, this one works very differently. And now you can probably already see why I called this stat special or build defining, because a lot of classes have certain, well, I guess, synergies or things that are well boosted with the specialty stat. Like I said, for Lancemaster, it basically makes your buffs stronger and yeah, helps you rack up this bar. Naturally, if your build doesn't revolve around this, maybe for example you're using the full moon engraving, specialty is going to be, well, not useless, but not really a priority here. And you can also see this here: gauge when hit, moon energy, energy of the sun, awakening damage. So all these stats are listed here down below. So this is a very cool thing. Last but not least, we're going to take a quick look at my Soul Master. So we have 3 classes for reference. So for my Soul Master, specialty does increases the effects of all power levels by 6%, reduces fatigue duration, and increases awakening damage. So, like I said again, this one has a completely different effect because my identity is what they call it in Lost Ark is gonna be different. Same thing here, if you scroll down to the bottom to activity, I think this is supposed to be identity. Key explosion efficiency, 6% increase, reduced fatigue time, and awakening damage. So, like I said, this is pretty much why specialty is special, like I said, pun intended. And this is how it can define builds on certain classes. Not every class usually runs specialty, but it is definitely an option there. So let's jump into how accessories work and how we actually get those stats. So we're back on my Devil Hunter, and why I said that these accessories tie in, because these are the main source, or the major source of these stats. There are other ways, or a few other ways, namely growth potions that you can also get in order to increase it, but you can see that these numbers are very, very small. For example, my agility is increased by 12, subdue by 16, so these are very minuscule numbers compared to the massive numbers that accessories grant us. So, for example, my necklace has critical 414, specialty 484. Necklace gives a very large amount, and it gives 2 cents. Earrings come next in the list. Here I have specialty 273 and critical 263. Agility on a ring. This one's not the perfect roll, but I keep it for now, and specialty as well. So this is how you get those stats, and we're just going to cover this really quickly here as well. The grade determines how good the roll is, because these additive effects, I talked about this in another guide, these additive effects are going to be random. So the value is random, and also the stat itself. So this necklace has critical and specialty because it rolled those 2 values, and it has those 2 values because the grade is 49. We're going to check the auction house for that, so you can see what I mean. If we're going to check jewelry and swords, so these are the same necklaces that I have, right? It's the, or let's just, so it doesn't confuse you, jump down here. Right, grade ruler's necklace, right? So it's the identical piece of equipment. However, the grade on the left side is a little bit better. So the critical value is 487 and the specialty value is 418. So it's a little bit higher compared to mine, the right one, which I have equipped, because the grade at the bar at the very top is a little bit higher. So basically what this means is the bar determines how good the roll is going to be. And we're going to just check this really quickly at the NPCs, because this is where you can see the min and the max rolls. So there are 2 parts that come into play when determining the stats or the value of the stats. First of all, like I said, finding one piece. So random effects actually doesn't show the value range, which is a bit shit. Okay, but it does so on armor pieces, so you can get the idea. The same thing applies to accessories, but you have a min and a max range, and within that range, depending on where or how high the grade is, your value is going to be lower or your value is going to be higher. So for accessories, you obviously want to score a higher value. However, due to the fact that accessories come in so many shapes and forms, and they also have engravings on it, which we'll cover on the next video, it's a really not that simple way to get them. And if you find the right ones, they're usually fairly expensive, or maybe they don't have the right stats, or like mine, they don't really have the perfect rolls. As you can see, this one has grade 22, so it's actually a lowball roll. However, it had the right engravings for me, and I was like, okay, it's agility, but that little bit of agility is not going to kill me, so I took this one on. But basically, this is how stats work. So TLDR, all of these matter. Specialty is a build-defining stat. Depending on your class, it's going to do a variety of things, including awakening damage. Last but not least, accessories is your main source of these. The quality or the grade is how high the roll is going to be. The rest is going to be RNG. Last but not least, higher rarities of items obviously grant you higher stats. So we're just going to do this quick check here. I showed this one earlier with the Kaiser necklace, but we're just going to do that same comparison again. The Kaiser necklace is the tier 2 equivalent, but in legendary rarity. So it's a tier below my artifact gear, or a color grade if you want to. I know this is a little bit confusing, but once you've played the game, you can understand this. Jewelry necklace, and that Kaiser necklace, for example, is lower in terms of stats. As you can see, dexterity is lower, vitality is lower, and the subdue and endurance is actually higher because of the roll. So let's see if we can actually find a Kaiser necklace that has around the same value. For Magma Forge is the same. 55 is... okay, 49. So we have the same value in terms of grade. And you can see that the first roll is lower and the second roll is lower as well. So not only are the overall stats lower, but your RNG rolls will also be lower. This is all for combat stats, how they are obtained, how they work. And yeah, I think that's all that comes to play when it comes to combat stats. Last but not least, I do stream Mondays 700 CST. If you want to see me live on Twitch, feel free to check out the link in the description below. Other than that, this video will be added to the playlist. The playlist link is also in the description below, and I will announce the rest and put the rest of the videos once they are out into the playlist as well. So feel free to check that out and come back at a later point in time. Last but not least, thank you for joining. Hopefully this was helpful, and stay safe out there, stay healthy, and I will see you guys next time.